What's up, my people? How are we doing on this horrible Friday night? We have confirmed that we have a terrorist on our hands. And I say that with the most vile taste in my mouth because that's what this man is, a terrorist. And the fact that we have a picture of a nerdy, white, funny looking kid who was smart enough to get away from not only the Austin police, but also the FBI leads me to believe that there is way more to this than we are being led on to believe. So I have to ask, do we even know what a terrorist is? I mean, I was taught to believe that a terrorist was brown skin, talked with a funny accent, and led a pretty uneventful life until they decided to blow something up. And from the picture I'm looking at, if you're looking at the same picture I'm looking at, he looks pretty brown. He looks pretty tan. You know, he lives in Austin, so I'm sure he gets a lot of sun. Pretty much flew under the radar until he decided to blow some people up. So the question is, how do we spot a terrorist? There was a conference meeting, a press meeting, to address the fact that this kid blew himself up whenever the police, after 3 weeks of terrorizing people, after the police closed in on him, he blew himself up. And we've seen that done many times in Afghanistan and Iraq as suicide bombers. We saw it done in 9/11. But we call the people in 9/11 terrorists, but we're not going to call him terrorists. We're going to give him the identity of psychopath because that's what he calls himself. Nonetheless, we have this kid, because he's a kid. He's 23 years old. I'm 23 years old. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to give him any type of validation whatsoever because what he did was despicable. He was such a hate-filled person that he not only manipulated the Austin police, he manipulated the FBI, and he manipulated a whole community of people. Most people don't even understand how deep this really goes. It's farther than he killed 2 Black people, 1 Hispanic person, and injured 2 Caucasian people. It goes deeper than that. Reports are now coming out that in Austin, they were telling people in the neighborhood, a predominantly Black neighborhood, that they needed to stay indoors for their own safety. Now, I can understand wanting to be safe, but I cannot understand how you have the police not only looking for you, but also implementing the fact that they are trying to make a barren town just to find you. But I know when I had a warrant for my arrest, and I mean, I travel all over this state. You can look up and I'll be 2 hours away. When I had a warrant out for my arrest, it was nothing for them to locate me. I have no stable address, but damn well believe any Amazon package that I'm getting, they know where I am. Nonetheless, how do you spot a terrorist? In the press conference that they had earlier today, they addressed the fact that what we need to do as a people is simply know our neighbor. We need to walk up and get to know people, because that's what's best for us to do. We should extend the olive branch and say hello to everyone we meet. Now, if you're like me, you understand that that is not even freaking possible. Because to ask me to walk up to a complete stranger and say, hi, my name is, what's yours? Who in their right mind would do that? You wouldn't even do that at the Walmart that you go to every day, and you see the same cashier every day, and you don't even know their name. But to say that this young man, because he's not even a kid, he's a man. I'm 24, he's 23, he's a man. This young man, all he needed was for someone to say hello to him. That's a scapegoat. That is to make it easier for him to say, oh, we should feel sympathy for him. He just needed a friend. No, what he needed was a swift kick in the ass, and be told that the hatred that he feels towards people, regardless if they're white, black, purple, yellow, is wrong. That's what he needed. But let's stick to the facts. Let's not even go by my opinion. Let's just stick to the facts. The facts are that for 3 weeks, this young man plotted, constructed, and implemented a plan of terrorism. He has the search history of some of, you would think, an enthusiast when it comes to making bombs. He had a 25 to 27 minute long confession of how he did it, where he was going to do it, but not why. And I don't think that we need to know why, because the first 3 minutes of this confession, they call it, they are saying that, oh, well, he was talking about how hard his life was and how terrible things had gone for him. You're 23 years old. My brother is 16, about to be 17. He's 16 with autism, diabetes, emphysema, and inflaming freaking acne. And you mean to tell me that my little brother is not going and bombing people, not that he doesn't have the intelligence to, but he's not going and bombing people because his life is so hard. What in your life could be so hard that you don't have friends? There's 7 billion people on this planet. I'm sure one of them will talk to you online. Oh, well, his family is so dysfunctional. Every family is. Every family is. There's no difference. So we're spotting a terrorist. And the truth of the matter is we cannot spot a terrorist, because every time we find out that it is a Caucasian male that is doing these acts of pure, unadulterated hatred, we have to move the goalposts just a little bit. We have to make the criteria of being a terrorist a little different. Oh, well, he only killed 4 people. Or it only spanned for 3 weeks, or he didn't have a gun. Anything to justify the fact that this young man went out with hate in his heart, constructed a plan, bought the ingredients to make a bomb, and then consisted to go out and lay them in places, predominantly minority places, to harm people. Now, the media is saying, oh, in his confession it says it wasn't because of hate, and it wasn't for political acts. That doesn't make it terrorism. To terrorize a community for 3 weeks and not to even have the faith of the Austin Police Department on their side, because you can't tell me that it took them 3 weeks to figure out who this man was, where this man was and where exactly he was getting his tools and equipment and necessary material to make these bombs. You can't tell me that, because just last week they passed a bill that increased NSA spying. Now, if you don't know, the Patriot Act is what makes it so that every time you open up your computer, you know, the little memes that go around about the FBI is watching you, no, that's fucking real. Okay, so the NSA spying is real. There is a little facility in Arkansas collecting all your metadata. Literally, every time you click, every time you open your phone, every time you open your laptop, your MP3 player, your car sometimes, because, you know, cars talk to us now, TVs video us now. Every time you mess with something electronic that is connected to this wonderful, wonderful thing we call the internet, you are being watched and tracked and traced. But to tell me that this young man was able to order multiple times, not once, not twice, multiple times, order material to make bombs, you're going to tell me that no one had a red flag going off? We're freaking out over the fact that Facebook gave a little bit of information during the 2016 fucking election, but you're telling me you didn't think to maybe, he's buying a lot of pipes. He's buying a lot of wires. And there's nothing wrong with being an enthusiast. Don't get me wrong. If you're an enthusiast, sure. But everything is worth checking into nowadays. Everything. I would never give the benefit of doubt when it comes to the new wave of terrorism. I just wouldn't. So, this man is 23 years old, lives by himself, socially awkward, doesn't really know doesn't really have any friends. They haven't been able to find anyone who can say they know him. Not a single person in the Austin area apparently knows him. Now, I am somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. That's what makes this so much fun. And one of my theories is they knew who this was. They knew who he is. And up until he decided to get butterfingery with his little play toys, his little bombs, they were perfectly okay with it. You had the bomb go off at the FedEx facility, which was a red flag. Oh, no, detonated too early. You were endangering actual people. Because I know, well, again, I told you in a lot of my free posts, some of my stuff might offend you, and I'm okay with that. If you don't want to listen, tune out. So if this offends you, I'm so sorry. Get over it. Isn't it kind of bad that it took him killing 3 people before they actually ramped up the investigation, before the FBI became involved? Now, some people would agree with me. Black lives don't matter. Because every time you look up, we are on the bottom of the totem pole. We are the ones being shot in the backyards. We are the ones being shot even though we're law-abiding citizens. We're the ones that are literally going down in history for being targets. But he killed 2 black people, a Mexican, and I'm not going to say Mexican, that's a little bad, Hispanic, Spanish. And up until that point, it was just like, oh no, what do we do? It's terrible. Oh gosh. But then you have a facility where the bomb detonates too early. Oh, you cutting it kind of close, and you want me to need you to tone it down. But then he sets up a tripwire in a very indiscriminate area at that. He set it up in one of the gentrified areas that it still has black people there, but it's not necessarily, completely whitewashed. And 2 guys just minding their business, 2 white guys minding their business. They trip over it and they set it off. Send them to the ICU. Now we have a problem. Now the Austin Police Department and the FBI have a problem. Because now we have 6 bombings. We have 2 white guys in the hospital, and now this is going to make headlines, because a lot of people were actually on my page telling me we don't know anything what they're talking about. We haven't heard anything about this since we don't know when. Like, what's going on? They had to Google search it. They had to actually go through their Instagram and find information on this. Like, that's the type of news desert we're living in. But the Texas police, after 3 weeks of this man going around and killing people, finally track him down, get a warrant, and chase him down in a car chase where he detonates his own bomb, his last bomb, and kills himself. It's a hell of a way to go. It's also a hell of a way to avoid giving people justice. This white man went without any discrimination to a minority populated area and decided that he was going to be the one to take innocent people's lives, people that didn't even know him. How could that not be a terrorist? And we might say, well, you know, he says it's not hate-filled. He says he's a psychopath. That's just what psychos do. No, psychos are not. That's really funny, because psychopaths, every movie you see, they don't just go out into the daylight and start slashing people. They have specific criteria that they follow. They plan it. They write it out. They try to figure out, you know, all the loopholes in it. And once they have a plan together, once they know that they can cover their tracks, then they implement their plan. And that's what he did. No one knows how long he was planning this. I don't know how long it takes to build a damn bomb. Do you? I mean, like, I might be able to tell you how long it takes to set up YouTube or how long it takes to cook a falafel. But in my arsenal of knowledge, cannot tell you how long it takes to make a bomb. Maybe another bomb enthusiast will be on his side and say, oh, this was a day project for him, which only proves that he had to be hate-filled to go through with such a heinous crime. But back to the justice part. They say because he blew himself up, which I'm still kind of shaky on that story as well. We haven't seen any footage. We haven't seen any recordings. We haven't even gotten the recording of his own confession. And I'm pretty sure they're going to alter that before they release that to the public, because we've had it for a full 24 hours and no one seems to be able to come up with a link to it or their own, at least a snippet of it. No one. Keep this under wraps. Can't let them know. But, so, lost my train of thought, got mad all over again, like just reading this. Austin Barber reportedly calls himself psychopath in confession tape. I want to hear this tape. I want to hear the verbiage, the tone. They say he was crying while he was making it. He was just distraught. I have no sympathy for this man or any men of his ilk. None. Not a single drop of sympathy. The luckiest thing for you to do was to blow yourself up. Simply because you are a terrorist. You are what most white Americans say that we have people overseas fighting to protect us from. You are the epitome of what actually terror is. You took lives, if not for fun, if not for hate, but just 'cause you could. I don't know what makes a person any more evil than that. So, how do we spot a terrorist? Could be your neighbor. Could be you. You never know. But that's the dark truth. You never know. The best thing to do is always be on your toes. Always be prepared, because in this world, nothing is ever what you think it's going to be. This kid looks like he literally just got out of band practice. He could be anybody's like best friend, and you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even know it. And if you say that you would, if you can say, oh, I can tell when the next bomber is going to be, you would be a liar, because you can't. These people blend in with everyone. It might be the quiet kid. It might be the loud kid. It might be the kid that's sad all the time. It might be the kid that's actually really happy and depressed. You don't know. But that's the dark news.